नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णकृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामि। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाशकदायिनी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय गोविंद बोलो बोलो गोपाल बोलो राधा रमन हरि गोविंद जय जय राधा रमन हरि गोविंद जय जय राधा रमन हरि गोविंद जय जय हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय राधा गिरधारी, राधा गिरधारी राधे। जय राधा गिरधारी, राधा गिरधारी राधे। जय राधा गोपीनाथ, राधा गोपीनाथ राधे। जय राधा गोपीनाथ, राधा गोपीनाथ राधे। जय राधा रस बिहारी, राधा रस बिहारी राधे। जय राधा रस बिहारी, राधा रस बिहारी राधे। जय राधा मदन मोहन, राधा मदन मोहन राधे। जय राधा मदन मोहन, राधा मदन मोहन राधे। जय राधा कुंज बिहारी, राधा कुंज बिहारी राधे। जय राधा कुंज बिहारी, राधा कुंज बिहारी राधे। जय राधा बांक बिहारी, राधा बांक बिहारी राधे। जय राधा बांक बिहारी, राधा बांक बिहारी राधे। जय राधा माधव, राधा माधव राधे। जय राधा माधव, राधा माधव राधे। जय जगन्नाथ, जय जगन्नाथ, जय बलदेवा, जय सुभद्रा। जय जगन्नाथ, जय जगन्नाथ, जय बलदेवा, जय सुभद्रा। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी, नयन पथगामी भवति। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी, नयन पथगामी भवति। जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 प्रभुपाद। जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 प्रभुपाद। जय जय गुरुदेव, 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 गुरुदेव। जय जय गुरुदेव, 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 गुरुदेव। निताई गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। निताई गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। बोल हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि। जय राधा माधव, कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव, कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ, गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ, गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरवनचारी यमुनातीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरवनचारी यमुनातीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीम् उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैव। Welcome everyone in Bhagavad Gita class. So we have completed successfully chapter 13. Now we'll start chapter number 12. We have completed chapter number 13. We start nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. So we'll recite the verses with translations. Then we'll discuss, followed by Mangalacharya. Chapter 13, nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. Text 1 and 2. Arjuna Uvacha Prakritim Purusam Chaiva Kshetram Kshetrajnam Eva Cha Etad Veditum Ichchami Jnanam Jneyam Cha Keshava. Sloka number 2. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam Sariram Kaunteya Kshetram Kshetram iti Abhideyate Etad yo veti tam prahu Kshetrajya iti tad vidah. Arjuna said, "O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakrti, nature, Purusa, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge, and the object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." Sloka number 3. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetrajyor jnanam yat yat taj jnanam matam mama. O scion of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. Sloka number 4. Tat kshetram yat yadricha yad vikari yatasya yat sachayo yat prabhavasya tat samasena me srunu. Now, please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is consumed, how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences. Sloka number 5. Rishibhir bahuda gitam chandobhir 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 vividay prithak Brahma Sutra Padashchaiva Hetum Hetum Adbhir Vinishchitah. That knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of activities is described by various stages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. 13.7. 6 to 7. Mahabhutan ahankaro buddhir vyaktam evacha indriyani dasaekam cha pancachendriya gochara ichha dvesa sukham dukham sanghataschetana etat kshetram samasena savikaram udahritam. The 5 great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and convictions. All these are considered, in summary, to be the field of activity and its interaction. Verse number 8 to 12. Amanitum adamhitvam ahimsa shantir arjavam acharyopasanam saucham स्थैर्यम् आत्मनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि स्वदोषानुदर्शनम् असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्गः पुत्रदारगृहादिषु नित्यं समचित्तम् इष्टानो इष्टपपित्तिषु मयि चान्यन्न योगेन भक्तिर्व्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम् अर्तिर्जनसंसिद्धिम् अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम् तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतज् ज्ञानम् इति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानं यदतोऽन्यथा humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the object of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaye Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं पर्यनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णव्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण। Welcome everyone in Bhagavad Gita class. So we are in chapter number 13, nature, the enjoyer and consciousness. So there are 35 slokas in this particular section. We'll decide. So there are 6 sections in this particular unit chapter. that is the nature, enjoyer, and consciousness. So verse number 1 talks about Arjuna's 6 questions: Prakriti, Purusa, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, and Jneyam. Then section B talks about 13.2 to 13.7. Krishna answers to question 3, 4, and the field of activities and the knower of the field. Section C 13.8 to 13.12. Krishna further answers to question 5, the process of knowledge and liberation. Section number D, C 13.13 to 19. Krishna further answers to question 6, the object of knowledge. 13.20 to 26. Krishna answers questions 1 and 2. Prakriti, Purusa, and their unit. 13.27 to 35. Jnana Chakshusha, the vision of knowledge. So, there are 3 sections of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 1 to 6 talks about Karma Yoga. Chapter 7 to 12 talks about Bhakti Yoga. Chapter 13 to 18 talks about Jnana Yoga. So, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti and Karma Yoga, the objective of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga is also Bhakti Yoga. So, chapter number 1 to 6 talked about karma, action, do something, do karma, action on the platform of knowledge. So, and perform of actions preferred, performed to please Lord Krishna. Why actions should be performed? Actions should be performed to please the Lord. Then, chapter number 7 to 12 comes under Bhakti Yoga, and 13 to 18 talks about Jnana Yoga, knowledge, or talks about Jnana. Perfection of Jnana is Bhakti Yoga. Okay, perfection of action is Bhakti Yoga. So, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, and in between that, Bhakti Yoga. Verse number 13.1. Arjuna uvacha prakritim purusam chaiva kshetram kshetrajnam eva cha etad veditum ichchami jnanam jneyam cha Keshava. Arjuna said, "Oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusa, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the object of knowledge." So, in verse number 1, Arjuna asks 6 questions. Arjuna is asking question to Krishna that, "Oh Krishna, please explain me these 6 kind of principles." That is Prakriti. So Prakriti is also known as nature. Purusa is also known as enjoyer. Kshetra, the field of activities. Kshetrajna, the knower of the field. Jnanam, knowledge and process of knowing. Jneyam, the object of knowledge. These 6 questions Arjuna is asking in verse number 1. So, first question, Prakriti. Prakriti, the nature. Material nature. So, Krishna's answer given in 13.20 to 26. What is material nature? What is Prakriti? Then second question talks about Purusham. Who is the enjoyer of the matter? Purusa. Who is the Purusa of this Prakriti? Then, question number 3 about Kshetra. Field in which one can act within the material world. Okay, so everyone needs some space to act on. In that space, one do the karma, take some action. Similarly, for in material world, we should know some field where we can take action. Then comes Kshetrajna, Kshetra Jnanam. Kshetragya, entity which experiences the field of action. So, field of action is experienced by entity, that is Kshetragyam, who has the knowledge. Then Jnanam, knowledge and the process of acquiring knowledge. Fifth question, asking about Jnanam. So Jnanam means what? What is the question? Because Arjuna is asking knowledge and the process of acquiring knowledge. What is the knowledge and what is the process of acquiring knowledge? Then comes Jneyam. Question number 6, last question. Jneyam means the object of knowledge. Who is the object of knowledge? Arjuna is asking Krishna, oh Krishna, please tell me who is the object of knowledge? What is the ultimate purpose of all these Vedas, all these Puranas? So Arjuna is asking question. Then 6. Now question number, verse number 2, where Arjuna, Krishna is going to start answering. 13.2. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam Sariram Kaunteya Kshetram iti avideyate Etad yoveti tam prahu Kshetragya iti tad vidah. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, this body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. So Krishna is saying, oh Arjuna, this body is field, and the one who knows this body is known as the knower of the body. Kshetragya, Kshetra, this body is called the field. One who knows this body is called the knower of the field. Krishna knows everyone. Krishna answers about the Kshetra and Kshetragya. So Kshetra means body and Kshetragya means soul. Okay, so soul is resting in the body. So now Srila Prabhupada discussed in the purport Kshetra, body. Who gets body as the field of activity? Conditioned soul. For whom? Who gets body as the field of activity? Conditioned soul. So we are all conditioned soul. Why does he get this field? Soul is entrapped in material existence because of his attempts to lord it all. So everyone wants to lord on several things. This is my own car, this is my own house, so and so, Gadi, car, bangla. Okay, so like it's all mine, belongs to me because I have purchased it, I bought it. Okay, just by buying, it doesn't become yours. Then what is the criteria? Criteria to decide which body is according to the capacity of dominate material energy, according to the capacity to enjoy sense gratification. One gets a particular body to function accordingly. Okay, so which body where you are taking action? Then who is the Kshetragya, knower of the field? How to understand the difference between the body and the knower of the body? Based on changing phases of the body, intuitive understanding. Body is constantly changing from childhood to old age, but one remains the same person. Okay? Dehino asmin yatha dehi. So this body is constantly changing from boyhood to disease to death. Okay, this is the entire process how conditioned souls are binded in this particular material life. Okay, so comparison of knowledge in 3 sections, 1 to 6, 7 to 12, and 30 to 18. Discuss the knower of the body and the position by which he can understand the Supreme Lord. That is chapter number 1 to 6. And chapter number 7 to 12 talks about, discusses the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the relationship between the individual soul and the super soul in regards to devotional service. It describes the superior position of Krishna and subordinate position of living entity. 4 kinds of pious men who approach the Lord. Chapter number 13 to 18 explains how the living entity comes in contact with the material nature. Explains how living entity is delivered by the Lord through different methods. Okay, so the objective of all karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga is bhakti yoga. So bhakti yoga is also known as supreme yoga, the best yoga practice. Okay, that is the discussed in purport of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So then we'll see summary section of part B, that from 13.2 to 13.7. Krishna answers question 3, 4, and 5, and the field of activities and the knower of the field. So Krishna explains the field of activities as it is described in the Vedanta Sutra, as basically the sphere within which the conditioned soul interacts with the material world. The knower of the field is the soul who only has knowledge of his own field of activities. Krishna, however, as super soul, is the knower of the field of activities of all living entities. To know these things called knowledge. So Krishna is saying this body is known as field, and the one who knows this body is known as the knower of this body. But Krishna is the ultimate knower. He knows individual body, at the same time he knows each and every. So Krishna can remember, can know all bodies, but conditioned soul can know only individual body. So Krishna is the supreme knower here. Okay, so that is the. Now we'll see sloka number 3. Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetragya yor jnanam yat taj jnanam matam mama. O Scion of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. Okay, so Lord is saying that, O Scion of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the knower of all bodies. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. So Krishna is the supreme knower. Krishna is saying, if you know this body and the knower of the body, that is actually knowledge. So Krishna is the supreme knower of all bodies of the conditioned soul. So if you know Krishna, that is called knowledge. If you have so many much material knowledge, but you don't know Krishna, your knowledge is zero. Okay, so here Krishna is saying that Lord Krishna defines Kshetragya and Jnanam. Who is Kshetragya and who is Jnanam? What is Jnanam? So answers to second question, Kshetragya. There is also a second knower of all fields, the super soul. Okay, so one, you know your body, and the other one, Krishna, who knows everyone's body. So we have, as a conditioned soul, we have got limitation. But Krishna has no limitation. Krishna can know all bodies, living, non-living, at the same time. Why? Because Krishna resides as super soul in each and every body. Then comes answer to fifth question. To understand body and its knowers, super soul and soul is called knowledge. Okay, so soul knows the body. So if soul knows, super soul also knows the body. Because soul and super soul resides together in the heart. So that's why here it is said that to understand body and its knowers is called knowledge. That is called Jnanam. That is called Jnanam. So there are two kinds of knowers, that is super soul and individual soul. So how Krishna is the knower? Super soul is the plenary expansion of Krishna. Krishna says, I am also the knower, but not the individual knower of the body. I am the knower as super soul of the body. He is present in every body as the super knower, supreme knower. So Krishna is also known as supreme knower. He has knowledge of all other knowledge. He is the God of all demigods. That's why he is known as Lord, Supreme Lord Krishna. So Krishna is supreme controller. Krishna is supreme enjoyer. Krishna possesses all six opulences. Nothing is beyond that six opulences. If the Krishna is also known as Shad Aishwarya, he possesses all Shad Aishwarya, like beauty, strength, okay, fame, name, all these belong to Krishna only. So why the reputation of soul, super soul, same? Word cha indicates the total number of bodies. It indicates Krishna is present as super soul in every body. In everybody. Why the atomic soul is present only in their individual bodies? So soul present in individual body, super soul present in all bodies. Analogy, do not misunderstand a rope to be a serpent. If a serpent is hanging on a particular hook and you see, you go and catch, just it looks like a rope. Okay, so misunderstanding a serpent with a rope. Real knowledge is to know super soul as the controlled of both the field of activity and the finite enjoyers. Understanding position of Prakrti, Purusa and Ishvara. Analogy, understand their differences and do not confuse between painter, the painting and the easel. Okay, so painter, painting and easel, these are the three different things. So there are three Brahman conceptions, Prakriti, material nature, is Brahman as the field of activities. Prakriti is the Brahman as the field of activities. Then Jiva, the living entity, is also Brahman and is trying to control material nature. Jiva is trying to control material nature. Control of both them is also Brahman. Okay, so here Prakriti is Brahman, living entity is Brahman, and controller of both is also Brahman. So Brahman controlled by Brahman. What is the difference between soul and super soul? Two knowers and their differences. So soul is also knower and super soul is also knower. Who knows this body? Soul and super soul. So super soul resides in every body and super soul and soul resides only in individual body. So who are Jivatma? Jivatma, living entities are also known as Jivatma. Super soul, God as maintainer is known as Paramatma. God as maintainer is known as Paramatma. Infinite simile, small anu, size of the soul is 1/10,000 size of the tip of hair. तो बाल के अग्रभाग का 10,000वां भाग, that is the size of soul. 1/10,000 the size of the tip of hair. Okay, and God super soul is infinite. So soul is anu and in super soul is Vibhu. Soul, cognizant of one's own body, is known as individual knower. So we are all individual knowers. Why? Because we know only our body. But Krishna is super soul. Krishna is super knower. Why? Because cognizant of everyone and everything. So Krishna has got cognizant that he can know everyone at the same time. Krishna as super soul can reside in everyone's heart at the same time. Soul is secondary proprietor of one body. Analogy, citizen as the proprietor of one land. So it is similar like you possess a land. A land belongs to you. Similarly, our land belongs to you only. That's why you can say the soul also belongs to you only. You are the knower of the soul. So soul is a secondary proprietor. Supreme soul is the supreme proprietor of all the bodies. Analogy, king is the proprietor of all lands. Okay, so all these land ultimately belongs to government. Okay, that's why super soul knows everyone and soul can know only individual body. Soul is the secondary controller of senses. Analogy, citizens are the secondary controller of activities. Soul is the secondary controller of this body. Similarly, citizens are the secondary controller of the activity. Primary controller is the Prime Minister. Prime Minister is primary controller and we as individuals are known as secondary controller. Similarly, Supreme Lord is supreme controller of the senses. Rishikesha. So Lord is also known as Rishikesha. So similarly, Krishna, king, is the original controller of all activities. Soul is fallible, but super soul is infallible. A loving servitor, subordinate, and super soul, eternally a loving master. Soul is subordinate and super soul is master. Innumerable living entities. Though super soul is in the heart of every living entity and within every atom, still there is only one super soul. Still there is only one super soul. There are innumerable living entities. Although super soul resides in everyone's heart, but super soul is only one. Krishna is only one. So Krishna can be in Goloka Vrindavan Dham. At the same time, he can be in everyone's heart also. It is possible only for Supreme God. No one else can do this. Then, supporting reference from Vedic literature, Kshetrani hi sarirani bijam chapi subhasubhe tani veti sa yogatma tatah kshetragya yuchyate. Mentions there are two knowers of the body. Then comes text number 4. Tat kshetram yachyat yadrikshva yad vikari yatasya yat sacha yo yat prabhavasya tat samasena me srunu. Now, please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, where it is produced. Now, who that knower of the field of activities is and what his influences are. What are his influences? So Lord Krishna further explains the field of activity. What is a field? Best way to understand these questions, just understand this Bhagavad Gita as per the description given by Supreme Personality of God. If at all you want to understand Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, you have to follow instructions given by Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, and Supreme Lord Krishna himself. What is the caution? Do not consider the Supreme Personality in everybody, to be one with individual soul, the Jiva. Okay, so don't consider that Supreme Lord can be consumed. It will finish. No, Supreme Lord Krishna is eternal. Never finish it. He can reside in everyone's heart as super soul at the same time. So how this body is constituted? Explained in Bhagavad Gita 13.6 to 7. What changes the body undergoes? Explained in Bhagavad Gita 13.7 to 20. How, when, and where the body is produced? Explained in Bhagavad Gita 13.6, 13.21, 13.22, and 13.30. Identity of the knower of the field of activities. Explained in Bhagavad Gita 13.14 to 18 and 23. The influence of the knower. Explained in Bhagavad Gita 13.14 to 18. That is the sloka number, text number 4. Text number 5. Rishibhirbahuda Geetam Chando Virvividay Pitaka Brahma Sutra Padashaiva Hetum Adivir Vinishchite. The knower of the field of activities and the knower of activities is described by various stages in various Vedic writings. Right? It is especially presented in the Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. So Lord Krishna cites the authorities. Knowledge of Kshetragya, its cause and effect, is discussed in Vedic literature, especially by Srila Vyasadeva in Vedanta Sutra. In Vedanta Sutra, Srila Vyasadeva, the literary incarnation of Sri Krishna, Lord Sri Krishna, has written Vedanta Sutra. Guru Krishna, Sadhu sages through Vedic writings, Shastra, Vedanta, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Shastra, Vedanta Sutra, Sadhu sages through Vedic writings, and Guru is Krishna. So ultimate Guru is Krishna. How to identify learned scholars and standard authorities? They always give evidence from past authorities. Example, Krishna gives such evidence, although he is the highest authority. So Krishna also follows the rules and regulations so that his subordinate can also follow the same. Besides Krishna himself, Vyasadeva is a great sage who explains the concept of duality perfectly in Vedanta Sutra. So besides Krishna himself, Vyasadeva is a great sage who explains the concept of duality. So Krishna can explain what is duality. And at the same time, Krishna can explain, and who else can explain? Vyasadeva. Vyasji is the literary incarnation of Krishna. So Vyasji is also can also explain the how to identify learned scholars and standard authorities. So Vyasadeva's father, Parasar Muni, also a great sage, writes in his books of religiosity, Aham Tvam Cha Tathane. We, you, I, and all living entities are transcendental, although in material bodies. Now fallen into three modes according to karma. Some are higher and some are lower. It is all due to ignorance. But super soul is infallible and transcendental. Reference: original Vedas, especially Katha Upanishad, establishes the distinction between soul, super soul, and the body. Many great sages have explained this. Parasar is the principal among them. Word Chandobhi refers to various Vedic literatures. Example, Taittiriya Upanishad, a branch of Yajurveda, describes nature, living entity, and the supreme personality of Godhead. Okay, so in all these shastras, so many things explain that Krishna is the supreme personality of God. Knowledge of Kshetra, Kshetragya, each cause and effect is discussed in Vedic literature, especially by Srila Vyasadeva in Vedanta Sutra. Okay, so if at all we want to live a successful life, we should follow Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So Brahma Pucham Pratishtha. Brahma Pucham Pratishtha. 5 stages of Brahman realization that is mentioned in Taittiriya Upanishad 2.9. 5 sheaths are coverings of soul. So soul is, you can see, in the innermost. Anandamaya, Vijnanamaya, Jnanamaya, Pranamaya, Annamaya. So soul is protected by all these Ananda, Vijnana, Jnana, Prana, and Anna. Koshas, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. Realization, relationship in terms of Kshetra and Kshetragya. Annamaya. So food is the supreme object of realization. Example, consciousness of young child or amoeba. Annamaya. Food is the supreme object of realization. Relationship in terms of Kshetra and Kshetragya. Kshetra, gross body. Okay. So body is a Kshetra, filled. Pranamaya, realizing the supreme absolute truth. In living symptoms or life forms, one seeks to preserve his life. Kshetra, gross body. That is, Annamaya and Pranamaya are part of gross body. Then comes Jnanam. Realization to the point of thinking, feeling, and willing. One appreciates the subtle interactions of mind and intelligence, emotion, aesthetics, etc., as ultimate object of realization. Jnanamaya, that is Kshetra, subtle body. Then Vijnanamaya, realization in which the living entity's mind and life symptoms are distinguished from the living entity himself. To realize the self as different from the field of activity, to including the subtle body, Kshetragya, individual soul. So Vijnanamaya is a Kshetragya, individual soul. Anandamaya, supreme stage of realization of all blissful nature. One realizes the distinction between the self and the supreme self and enters into a blissful loving relationship. Kshetragya, supreme soul. Field of activities in general, gross elements and subtle elements. And there are 3 things, causal body also. So what are the gross elements? Panchabhuta, Jnanendriya, Vishaya, Karmendriya. So gross elements means stool sari. 5 gross elements. Panchabhuta. Earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And what are the Jnanendriya? Senses. Eyes, ear, nose, tongue, skin. And what are the Vishaya? Object of senses? Tanmatras. Rupa, form, Shabd, sound, Gandh, smell, Rasa, taste, Sparshan, touch. Karmendriya, working senses, hands. So Jnanendriya, eyes, ear, nose, tongue, skin, and Karmendriya, hands, legs, voice, anus, and genitis. So these are the five karmendriya. So what are the subtle body? Sukshma sharir or linga sharir. Contaminated consciousness, chitta, false ego, intelligence, mind. So these are the four subtle elements: chitta, false ego, intelligence, mind. And causal body, vision unfulfilled, distress, karma, avidya. Components of the field of activities, 24 elements. Thus ekam 11. Mahabhut, 5 gross elements. Indriya charaha, 5 objects of senses. So what are the Mahabhut? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. And what are the Indriya gocharaha? Form, sound, smell, taste, touch. And what are the 5 dasa? 5 knowledge acquiring of 5 working senses. Senses, eyes, ear, nose, hands, legs, voice, anus, and genitals. Ekam, mind, buddhi, intelligence, ahankara, false ego, pradhana, avyaktam, the unmanifested. Transformations of field of activities, non-permanent, birth, growth, stage, produces offspring, dwindles, death. Interactions of the field of activity, desire and hatred, happiness and distress. Living in symptoms, represented by and manifestation of. Living in symptoms, represented by consciousness and conviction. Subtle body, manifestation of subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Sloka number 67. We'll see next time. We'll stop over here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare. If any question you can ask. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण।